We as humans normally can't see into the spiritual world to observe the great controversy going on around us. But there are times when God pulls back the curtain to reveal to us what's actually happening behind the scenes and how He is protecting us. There was a young man by the name of Darman from deep in the mountains here in Occidental Mindoro. He grew up in shamanism, grew up in the old ways with the spirits, with the demons that haunted their every waking moment. One day he decided to come down into the lowlands to work to earn some money and stayed with a Seventh-day Adventist Christian family, a native family, but who lives down here near the lowlands. While he was living with this family and working down in the lowlands, he enjoyed daily worships with that family. He loved hearing the singing. He enjoyed going to church with them. And over the months that he worked there, he really came to love Jesus. And before he went back up into the mountains again, he was baptized and committed his life to being faithful to Jesus Christ. When his work contract was up, he knew it was time to go back up into the mountains. He packed up all of his belongings that he had collected down here and started hiking up into the mountains. He traveled about 2 days deep into the mountains before reaching his home village. When he arrived there, his family was very excited to see him again, and especially to receive all of the gifts that he had been able to buy during the time that he was working down here. But that evening, when he pulled out his Bible and started singing, started having his own personal worship, his family started getting worried. They realized that he had become a Christian when he was down here in the lowlands, and they didn't want to have anything to do with God or with anything that was related to Christianity. His family and the whole village started persecuting him. They did their best to get him to stop having worship, to stop reading his Bible, to stop singing, to work with them in their farms on Sabbath. But Darman was determined to be faithful to Jesus. And so he continued on despite all of the persecution. After several months of this, Darman got very, very sick. In fact, he got so sick that he went unconscious, not knowing what was going on around him. His parents, though, even though they were persecuting him, trying to get him to stop being a Christian, really in their hearts, they wanted the best for their son. As far as they knew, this really was the best way of life. They decided to take him to the most powerful shaman in the region, up in a village near their area. They carried him in a hammock on a pole into the mountains to this shaman's hut. When they got to the hut, they brought a little pig with them, a baby pig, and they gave it to the shaman as payment for him to contact the spirits to try to drive away the spirits that they thought were making their child sick. So the shaman sat in the hammock, he pulled a blanket over his head, he started rocking back, and he started chanting the special chant that they use to call the spirits. But he chanted and he chanted and he chanted and he chanted, and the spirits wouldn't come. And so he started looking in the spirit world around his house, and he saw all the spirits that he normally calls were right there just outside of the hut, but they wouldn't come in. They seemed to be scared of something. Trying to figure out what they were so scared of, he started looking around inside the house, and he saw Darman laying there on the floor unconscious. And when he looked at Darman, he saw a huge, tall, brilliantly white spirit standing over Darman, protecting him and preventing all the other spirits from coming in. The demons that the shaman normally contacted couldn't come into the house because an angel was standing guard over Darman. And so the shaman quickly came out of his trance and he told the parents, "You got to take your son home. You got to take him home. I can't do anything for your son." And the parents, thinking that maybe he was trying to jack the price up, they said, "Oh, please help our son. We don't want him to die. You know, we'll come back again and we'll bring a full-grown pig to pay you. Maybe you need more payment." But the shaman said, No, there's nothing that I can do." And he explained about how there was a more powerful spirit than any of his spirits that was protecting Darman. Even as the most powerful shaman in the whole region, there was nothing that he could do with the angel protecting their son. And so Darman's parents picked him up, put him back in the hammock, and started taking him back to their village. And as they were walking, Darman's father started to think, "I've been persecuting my son. I've been telling him he's not been doing the right thing. I've been telling him that he should go back to the old ways, that he should trust in the shamans and trust in the spirits that we've known all these years." But when Darman was at his sickest, the shaman couldn't do anything to help him. His spirits couldn't heal Darman. And in fact, there was a more powerful spirit, a bright, white, brilliant spirit that was protecting Darman. God's spirit was protecting my son. And just about the time they arrived back in their village and were bringing Darman back up into the house, he decided in his heart, I'm not going to persecute Darman anymore. I'm not going to try to force him to leave Christianity. I'm going to give him his freedom to believe as he sees best. And as soon as he made that decision, Darman started to get better. And in fact, in just a couple of hours, Darman was awake again, conscious, and completely well. The next day, he went back up into the fields and started working again with his father up in their fields. Truly, God had protected Darman in that crisis when he couldn't protect himself and he couldn't stand up for his own faith. God honored Darman's faith and his commitment to be faithful to him. And God used this situation as a witness, not only to him, but to his father, to his mother, and to the whole village, that he is more powerful and that he cares for his children and for those who are faithful to him. Now, as a result of Darman's witness, there is a church planted in that village, and many people have come to faith in Jesus Christ. We can't always see all of what goes on in the spiritual world around us. We can't always see the great controversy played out before us. We read about how God and Satan are fighting over humankind, but sometimes, even in this world that we live in, God again pulls back the curtain and shows us how He is actively protecting us everywhere we go and in everything that we do, as long as we're faithful to Him. Some of you who are watching this may have heard God's call on your heart to be a missionary. Maybe you haven't yet answered the call because you're afraid. Maybe you're not sure if you really can live the life of a missionary. You've heard stories of how dangerous it can be in other places and in other countries. May this story be a reminder that wherever we go, whatever situation we find ourselves in, when we follow God's call to be faithful to Him and to be a witness to Him, God is with us, God will protect us, and God will work through us to bring people to faith. So don't let anything stand in between you and God's call to be a missionary.